Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I am Kisma and I'm so excited to be here. This is our final episode in this series of the attitude adjustment.
Come on.
Yeah, Nick's whining because he loves this one.
It's a really fun series.
It's a fun series. And if you've missed the other episodes, go back. So we talked about the attitude towards yourself. We talked about attitude towards others. It's just like ongoing because attitude is everything. You know, it's your perception of life. It's your perception of growth. It's your perception of success or failure. And this whole series has been designed to help you gain a different perspective and, for lack of a better word, a more positive attitude.
And our topic for today?
My favorite, your attitude of spirituality. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
All right. Hey, Mr. Nick.
Hello, Kisma.
What's going on?
Well, it's been an interesting week for me.
Yeah? How come?
It's I'm trying something new. And so in the past, I have been a big scheduler,
Yes,
scheduling all the things, and my schedule's pretty packed.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to not do that. Okay, so it's like a limited time experiment. I'm going to reassess, but basically the idea is that I'm scheduling very little. There are obviously some things that I need to schedule,
right?
But very little outside of that. It's like, okay, and what I'm doing instead is just basically getting the download. So I've got like my big goal, the thing that I'm working towards, and then I just get the download. Okay, well, what's my next thing? And then I get the download, and then I go do the thing.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of an adjustment.
Operating from intuition.
Yeah, like more purely from that, like that kind of guidance. And the very first thing I learned was I need to set a timeline, okay? Because it's easy to just get into those things and then just keep going down that train, and then that's the only thing that happens. And
I get that.
That doesn't work. So I lost a couple days there. I wouldn't say lost, but it was like a lot of things didn't happen, but a couple of things really did happen. Mm-hmm. And then really just finding a new way of kind of being in that. And so far, like the adjustment period aside, it's actually feeling a lot better for me. I feel a lot more free, and I'm having way more fun. And I'm actually surprisingly much more productive than I thought I would be.
That's great.
So, but it ties in, I think, really well to the topic that we're talking about today, which is spirituality, like your spiritual connection. And for me, like that's what that is. All I'm doing is just kind of asking,
what's next?
What's next? Give me the thing, and then I get the thing, and then I go do it.
And then you go do it. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I've been talking a lot about spirituality with my clients, with my students on some Facebook Lives, and as well how it relates to our mindset in the world and definitely to our attitude. So for me, when we talk about spirituality, it is not about a specific religion. I know that we speak to people across the board in different religions. I'm not here to tell anyone what to believe. I would, however, like to inspire each and every one of you that when we have an attitude about spirituality, it's the attitude to be the best version of ourselves. It's kind of like the you 2.0. This to me is a spiritual conversation. This to me is a spiritual attitude.
Yeah. The Vedanta teachings take it pretty black and white, as far as like focused outside on the world and all those things is mundane, focused inside on yourself and really seeking that spiritual core, that's spiritual.
Right. Terrestrial and what's the other word? Terrestrial? Transcendental.
So whether, it's really about weeding through those layers of your personality in order to get to that spiritual core and really connect and identify with that.
Now, and here's the interesting thing. So the spiritual connection will be tricky when one is so severely focused on, as you said, Nick, the mundane aspects of the world. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone. We're here to express, we're here to manifest, we're here to create wealth or whatever you want. Like, that is all good. The moment, however, that all of those things owns us, we lose them. It's like such a tight grip on the mundane external world that a human will lose the connection to the universal intelligence space, to Brahman, source, God, spirit, universe, whatever your word is. When we're so entrenched in this world, we lose that connection.
Yeah. Well, let me play devil's advocate and do the flip side of that coin. You're so right about that. And the opposite is also true. When you're too absorbed in the ethers and all the esoteric things, you lose that grounding in your embodiment, and then things stop happening in the world.
And you're here to express and to manifest.
Exactly.
You've been given this beautiful body. It's a gift. It's a sacred vehicle. I share this a lot in my trainings where I'll say to people, yeah, it's really fun to just go and meditate and to get blissed out and do whatever, but you're swinging up to God. And the only reason you're swinging up to God is to swing back down and bring the gifts. And if you don't swing back down and share the gifts, you're not doing what you're here to do.
Yeah, you're not doing your job.
And not being spiritual.
It's a dereliction of duty.
A dereliction of duty, yeah. So I share this because where I get really excited with it is in the level, as I mentioned, with mindset, with prosperity, with confidence and certainty. And you might be thinking, like, what does spirituality have to do with any of those? And it really has to do with everything, because the moment that we begin to understand that we, each of us, are electromagnetically connected, that we, each of us, are created out of the same rich substance as the universe. Some of you might say likeness of God, like whatever your words are, we cannot deny there is this unique ultimate energy, this essence that is supreme. And we all got it, people. The question is, are we tapping into it?
Interesting. So really, when you connect and identify with that part and like just keep on bringing it back home, like that's really what you're talking about there. Like that, like, tell me, like, how does that, I guess my question is, like, can you talk about how does that weave in and out through your life and your everyday action? Like, how do you keep both?
How do you keep both? Well, that's a good question. I mean, part of it is doing what you're here to do. One would never meet a very spiritual person, a self-realized person who's just sitting around not doing anything. They are in action. So it's back to that like karma yoga, right? The bhakti yoga, the devotion, the jnana yoga, the intellect, and the karma yoga, the action. So we utilize all of it if we think of it as this sphere around us, or that we are this sphere, and we can reach up and we can access, and then we get back to the world and we implement and we integrate. And the action that we take when it is right action, meaning that when we choose the action that is of divine order, divine timing, our higher self, we will get right results, right? Consistent action yields consistent results. And the more amazing we create our world around us, the more it manifests, I think, in this bright spiritual context.
Yeah. And I think this biggest piece that you're really highlighting is as above, so below.
Yes.
So you're getting it and making sure that stays embodied and anchored in the human form and in your action in everyday life. So it's really not it's really not about what you do, it's how you do it.
Exactly.
Right. And that speaks directly to the attitude adjustment.
Right.
Just what is your attitude towards that, and how do you bring that in and through your life? I'm not saying that you have to go and proselytize to every person that you meet. It's not about that at all. Like this can be something that you never ever talk about, and that's okay.
It's what you're exuding.
Exactly. It's like really what you bring forth into everything that you do. And that's really powerful.
It is. I mean, Swami Parthasarita, we've referenced him so much from the Vedanta Academy. He's always said it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Yeah.
And how you do one thing is going to be how you do just about everything.
Yep.
And that is your spirituality. So if you're doing things in a non-spiritual way, if you're doing things like in a negative point 2 as opposed to you 2.0, those are the results you're going to get. That's the world you're going to create. That's the vibe that you will attract.
Yeah. It kind of brings me back to, I think it was the last episode I was talking about, like getting stuck in the weeds and things like that.
Right.
That's kind of what I mean. Like when I get this, just for me personally, like if I get stuck down in like this thing and that thing and the next thing, and it really like, it's so easy to get overwhelmed with all those things and really stuck in it. And it's like, well, like what the heck are you doing here anyway? Like, why are you doing all this anyway?
Yeah.
Right? In that higher purpose. So when the attitude adjustment is like out of the mundane, out of all this lower stuff, what the heck are you doing this for anyway?
You're right. We mentioned that when we talked about the attitude of oneself.
Yeah.
Your identification. So if you haven't listened to that, just bop back. It's just, I think, an episode before. But this brings me to a way to really get that sparkle and to contemplate this. And there's a question that we can ask ourselves, and that is simply, is this all there is? And that doesn't mean that we're like, oh man, dude, is this all there is? Like, I thought I was going to have such a better life. It's like, is this all there is? Because it isn't. There is an energy, there's a force, there's a God, there's a universe, there's a spirit, there's a source that runs through me, runs through you, runs through everyone. It's that electricity that allows us all to speak and to think and to act and to love and to feel sorrow, to feel joy. There is a something that we really can't comprehend.
Yeah. It's so much of it is unseen.
So much is all unseen.
Like think about
except as it manifests in us.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
Our
but
creation.
That's such a limited scope. Like if you just think about
right.
Okay, you see the whole spectrum of colors, which is beautiful. It's amazing. Like there's so many colors, right? And then there's everything that lies above in frequency and everything that lies below. And that's way more than what we actually see.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's all this unseen that is the massive mystery.
Right.
And when I think about spirituality and really being in the mystery of it's like being in the mystery of it.
Right.
Miracles, they appear to defy natural law.
Right.
But all they are is laws that we don't understand.
Exactly.
That's what a miracle is.
Yeah.
We're a freaking miracle. All the studies in science, and they still don't really understand how the body heals itself. Right? Yes, there's been amazing advances in medicine and how to trigger the healing response and help the body along in those ways. And that's amazing. And they're fantastic at diagnostics. But at the end of the day, they still don't know. When you cut your hand or your arm, magical forces cause your body to start healing. That's freaking amazing, man. That is so cool. And so getting lost, a little bit lost in a certain way in that mystery of that awe, like, wow, like this is so amazing. That to me is like a really powerful part about spirituality and something that really adjusts our attitude towards the world.
And it sounds like to me, you're describing this attitude of wonderment.
That's exactly it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for putting. I kind of.
You got a little geeky there. That's okay. Well, reining back in, everyone.
Thank you.
But it really is looking, and that's the jarring moment when you're like, okay, all right, I got in a fight with my spouse, my kids. I don't know, they're throwing up at school. Like all this stuff is going down. But wait a minute, look at that sunset. That sun sets every day. That sun rises every day. What the heck? Or you look at your skin or you contemplate what needs to happen in your eyeballs to see something and have it register in your brain. Like, what the heck is going on there?
Yeah.
Or when you see and when you feel something in someone that is different or special, like, what is that? That all of these things are the miracles of life. Yet we get stuck or caught in the weeds of life, which tend to negate the miracles of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the spiritual context, that wonderment is a willingness to just be in awe of yourself.
Yeah.
Yes to God, universe, spirit, source, Brahman, Atman, whatever your word is. Yes, be in awe. Yes, be in devotion. But I want you to bring it back to you because each and every one of you are created with the same substance. Each and every one of you has this divine spark, this soul, this essence. And when you're just like, whoa, look at me. This is amazing. It will lift you up.
Yeah. And what I think is cool is that what you're giving is a bridge into the mundane as well, right? So if you think about it just in a really simple way, you don't have to know how a combustion engine works to drive your car.
This is true.
You plug in the key or just hit the button now, because you just need the fob, and then you drive your car. And that's it. And it just magically works, right? And that's a mystery to you.
Right.
So there are people, and then this is, I think, where it kind of goes off sometimes, where we kind of lose the mystery. It's like, okay, well, that's just normal for one. Like, all right, no big deal. I'm just driving my car. And also that you can kind of lose touch with, because that you could learn that if you wanted to. You could learn how that works. Okay, great. Like that information is available to you, but you don't have it and you don't need it to do what you're here to do. You just plug in the key and go.
Yeah.
So, but it is that kind of wonderment. But then you can even take it one step further and start to recognize, like, wow, like how the frick did anybody even think of this?
Right.
Like where did they come up with that idea?
Yeah.
And all these amazing things, like you think about like all the amazing things in our life and all the amazing technology that we have, and then all the amazing technology in your human being that we don't even know about, or don't really even connect with. Like that to me is like that wonderment and awe. And I'm trying to find a word that really expresses how that feels. And it's like joy is like a part of it. But it's not like blissful joy or anything like that, or exuberant joy.
I think awe is perfect, because when we're in awe, it's like the time pauses, just like, because there's like, there's such attention to something above or something different. And when you think about everybody, like life goes really fast. Everyone's running around doing their thing, going to work, dealing with the kids, all this stuff super fast. When you're in awe, you take a breath and you pause and you're like, you appreciate. And that's when life gets really good.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's that magic carpet ride. Get out of the weeds and the worries and the anxieties and rise up and just freaking look at who you are and how you express and connect to your God, universe, source, spirit, and be in awe.
Yeah. There was a group of people who had a miracle challenge. And every day they were challenged to write down, like, I think I can't remember, it was like 5 or 10 miracles. Like just make a list and post it up. What were your miracles today? And what is fascinating about that is that as people did that, they saw more miracles, and they had more miracles happening in their life,
of course.
Quote unquote miracles. We'll just call them miracles because to me they're miracles.
Right.
Like these are just things. Yeah, is there a law that governs that? Sure, but we just don't even know what it is. And you don't even need to know. You don't need to understand that in order to make miracles. You can just have miracles.
Right.
And I just thought that was such a cool experience. Like it was everything from, wow, like this could have gone really badly. And, this conversation with my husband could have gone really badly. And actually it was no big deal. Or like, wow, like I just, brought in 3 new people for my program from out of nowhere. I don't even know where these people came from. It's like, okay, great. Like that's so cool. And so many people will discount those things.
That's a shame.
But think about how often that happens. Like, or for any of the listeners, think about times when really amazing things can happen. You're just like, that's cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you don't really take the moment to acknowledge that. But when you start to acknowledge those things, it's kind of like a gratitude journal in the same way.
Right.
Like the more that you're grateful for what you have, the more you have. Well, the more that you acknowledge the miracles in your life, the more miracles you have.
Exactly.
And living in the miracle, like to me, like that's the spiritual experience. It's just living in the freaking miracle.
Because you are that and you may create that. Yeah. And so, to kind of loop it back around, what I think is really special about this, again, for anyone, however you believe, what you believe, who you pray to, how you pray, not my concern. My intention, my deepest wish is that everyone can lean into this God force that you are all created from and feel a sense of confidence, have more certainty, have more miracle creation because you've got that. If you're a miracle, why would you not be able to create a miracle?
Whoa.
Oh, go tweet
question.
that, people.
Good question. Yeah, it just, they can show up in every way
Right.
if you allow them to. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I am learning and continuing to learn and experience on a deeper level is allowing miracles to
Totally.
occur. I saw this another colleague of mine who's in the energy mastery and really amazing story. Actually, she works, she does like physical fitness and things like that for disabled kids, and one of them had an episode and bit her really badly, and everybody that saw it was like, "You got to go to the hospital for that. That's going to be like you. That's this bad. You're gonna, basically like you're gonna die. Because
Going straight to the non-miracle.
human bites can be pretty bad." And she's like, "No, I got this." And she used her healing tools on it.
Yeah.
She used the energy mastery. And she posted some photos about it, and it was like 24 hours later and then 48 hours later, and it was gone. Like,
That's amazing.
just gone. And no bruising. It was like just gone.
Yeah.
So it's not about, that's where you lose the miracle is when you
Right.
buy into all these mundane beliefs about the way it's going to be and the way, like
Right.
the miracle is like, no, I think I'm available for something different.
Right.
And just that small little piece of being available for it opens the door for that to occur for you.
Not only that, I would like to, as we wrap up this series around the attitude, I would love for the ultimate attitude adjustment to be that miracles are the norm.
They are.
They are the norm. You're a miracle. I'm a miracle. Like, miracles are the norm. They're not something special. They're not something that is going to happen once every 10 lifetimes. Because if that's your attitude pivot, you will see more things as the miracles they are, bring you way more gratitude, have this feeling of just certainty and confidence because you're operating in this system of miracles, and you're just going to have a sense of vibrancy and confidence and certainty that wasn't there before.
And that's interesting that you bring the confidence into it.
I totally do, because if we're not going to lean into the universe, if we're not going to lean into God, if we're not going to lean into our soul or source or spirit, who are we going to lean into for confidence?
Yeah.
I mean, our design is perfection. We are divinely designed. People, you got to get this point. We weren't churned out in a factory. We have those imperfections, but our design is perfect. So let's go create perfection with all those beautiful little fun imperfections.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring up a really good point. That divine design,
Divine design is one of perfection.
and to think that you're not is to assume that nature's made a mistake.
Exactly.
And when does nature make a mistake?
Nope.
It just doesn't happen. You look and look and look, and it's just not there.
Yeah. And this will, my firm belief is that as you approach your life from the spiritual attitude, you can pivot anything, you can shift anything. Your vibes will be way higher, and you'll be willing to get into the trenches of life. Because again, this isn't about being blissed out and just go smoking your joint on the beach and being really happy. Like, okay, you can do that, but if you do that all the time, you're not living life. You're avoiding life. You're checking out. So, but when you lean into this essence and this confidence and this certainty, and you understand you're the walking miracle, you can get into the trenches of life, help more people, be more resilient, make more money if you want to make more money, create the love of your life if you want to create the love of your life. Whatever you do, you can manifest it. Yet you must be in action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. There is there is a dichotomy here. There, on the one hand, is this like total humility and awe towards this magical existence that we truly have no idea about. And then the whole other end of that spectrum at the absolute is like, you are the creator of your reality. You're the creator of your experience here. And having that really and truly absolute power and sovereignty over that.
Yeah.
So, and you have both, like you always have both. They're flip sides of a coin.
They are. And I think one fuels the other. I mean, I think it's incredibly humbling to understand that we're the architect of our lives.
Yeah.
Like that is. And it's incredibly humbling to know that we have access to great amounts of energy and support from our soul, from God, universe, whatever your source is. Like, man, we access that. That in itself is humbling.
Yeah, yeah. So that really brings us back to, I think, a really important point around this is where on the path, and I've certainly seen this a lot, where and experienced it, where you start to learn some things and you like gain a little bit more knowledge, and then that becomes it. Like that's the thing, and and I can tell you for sure that the moment is the moment that you're off track.
Yeah. Right.
So what you're leading into is one of the most, and I'm only bringing it up because it is really and truly one of the most dangerous and damaging traps out there. And it's called spiritual pride and self-delusion.
Yes.
So again, like I really bring it up because it is that important. When you get stuck in thinking that right?
Right.
And that it all and you've got it, and you're good, and everything like that. Danger zone.
You tip this, you cross the line.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. We experience it, with, it's unfortunate, and it is the most severe fall.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the worst part about it is that you'll never see it coming.
Yeah.
It's a blind side. It's a blind spot, really. And so that's where that sucker punch comes, and you'll get a correction.
A very strong karmic slap.
Yeah. So that is the opposite, right? So that's when you take it into the all powerful kind of side of the coin without the right attitude.
Exactly. Without the humility.
Yeah.
When that's God complex.
Yeah. You've gone too far over to the other side, and that'll really damage you. Now on the other side of that coin is in the humility without power.
Right.
Without really claiming your own personal power. When you have that, well, now you're not really taking that
essence,
that leadership role in your life, of bringing that down into your
into there's likely some self-entitlement or woe is me, the world is happening to me, not for me kind of attitude. That is not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to feel good.
Right. So you really have to have both, and you have to have them both fully.
Yeah. And I think, for me, when I look at some of the most amazing humans that I choose to emulate or that have inspired me, they are the ones that are so dropped in, confident and certain and willing to go the distance for whatever it is they desire to create, yet they know they're not alone. They know it is not just them. They know there's 100,000 people behind them that have created, done, thought, died and lived for what they're doing at this moment. And that brings about the humility. So when you have that power and when you have that humility hand in hand, it's like, it's the most magnificent creation, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super sexy to watch you geek out like that.
We're talking about spirituality, not sex.
No. Well, what could be more beautiful? Anyway. No, it really is. I don't mean to take away from that. It really is so beautiful. And I mean that really from my heart. It's like, it's just so like, wow,
That's what I love to talk about.
I know you do. So last parting thoughts. I think it's easy to spin out on this topic. Like
this is it. If you've listened to the whole series of An Attitude Adjustment, this is it. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to the parts because they're so essential. But the wrap up is, you got to know you're a walking miracle. You got to know it. Yeah.
Yeah, and be in the miracle and be in the magic. For me, I found some more of that through my little experiment of just not scheduling myself so much and just getting the download and going and putting it into action. That was really powerful for me and a really major shift. For you, it might just be looking at somebody else and being like, whoa, that's a human being, man.
Yeah, right.
Like, look at, they're all being human, like they're very human-y. And really like, like seeing the miracle in that person, or it might be just like putting the key in your car and being like, wow, like how did this even happen? Or sending somebody a text message.
I know, crazy, right?
Like, I'm beaming my message across the world, man. Like that is amazing.
I know. And we're doing it all so automatically. So it's really a stop, drop, and pause and appreciate.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I mean, it's just such a spectacular world. And what's funny about this episode is I don't think we've even mentioned one deity.
I know, right? All right. I'm such a fan of Ganesh, you know.
Big old Jesus had the healing stuff, man. And they call it healing miracles, but really he had the healing. He knew the healing technology.
He knew the healing. Yeah,
so,
he was.
Oh man, when we talk about, I want to bring it back to one last thing here is, the divine design and your divine design specifically. The insight into that, the Ultimate Life Tool is an amazing tool for that.
Yes.
So if you're interested in kind of seeing through those eyes and kind of looking at your divine design, that's what that's for.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's really powerful. When it comes down to like creating more miracles in your life, that's energy mastery.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what we do.
Right.
Is energy mastery gives you the tools to literally create more miracles in your life. And they're miracles on all levels. Like, of course, it's for healing, whether it's a physical, mental, emotional, relational, financial and spiritual. All of those levels of your life are really important. And energy mastery is what helps you to do that. So Ultimate Life Tool just really lets you connect with your divine design. And there'll be so many ahas in that. And then energy mastery just helps you embody it.
Love it. And you can find those links in our show notes. Apply for energy mastery certification or take the Ultimate Life Tool assessment.
Or do both. Yeah, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, any questions, shares, insights, what you'd like to hear us talk about, info@sourcemovement.com. We always love hearing from you, and with so much gratitude for listening and, spending time with us. We know there's a lot out there. There's a lot of noise, but rest assured, we're doing everything we can to not bring you noise and to bring you the truth.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for saying that, Kisma. You're awesome. You're a miracle. And every single one of you out there listening is a miracle. Go live your miracle. We love you madly. Namaste.
Peace. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.